The camera opens on a dizzying height, a sheer mountain plateau jutting into the sky, its edges carved by winds and storms older than memory. Clouds drift beneath the ledge, and the air is thin, biting, unforgiving. Here, life clings with desperation. What if the only world early humans knew was this isolated fortress of stone and sky? Could they endure, cut off from the fertile plains, sustained only by what the cliffs and hidden valleys allowed, and what dangers waited in this kingdom above the world? The story begins not in silence, but in movement. A group of Australopithecus, lean and small but fierce in their necessity, ascends a jagged slope, clutching crude stone flakes in hands hardened by struggle. Their breaths are sharp in the cold air, their bare feet seeking purchase on sharp rock. Below them, shadows stir rival predators hunting along the plateau walls. One female carries a bundle of woven leaves pressed tight against her chest, water trapped inside like a fragile treasure. Another balances a child on her back, its small hands gripping her shoulders, eyes wide with both fear and wonder. The climb is not just survival, it is pilgrimage. At the summit, they find the remnants of a fire. Charred stones, blackened twigs, and the faint scent of smoke tell them another band has passed here. The discovery brings both hope and unease. Hope because where there is fire, there is knowledge of warmth and protection. Unease because another band means competition, and in this place of scarcity, every scrap of meat or root could mean the line between life and death. They crouch low, scanning the horizon. The plateau stretches flat and exposed with little shelter but a few craggy outcrops. Danger here is not hidden, it is announced with brutal honesty. The first conflict unfolds quickly. A sudden thunderclap splits the sky, and storm clouds churn across the plateau. Lightning arcs above striking rock with deafening force. The Australopithecus scatter, rushing toward the nearest crevice, clutching their tools, their young, their bundles of food. The storm is merciless. Rain lashes down in sheets, turning stone into rivers of mud. One male, braver than wise, tries to carry too much a heavy carcass of a mountain goat and slips. His cry echoes as he tumbles toward the cliff's edge. Others rush to him, hands pulling, straining, clawing against slick stone. At last, they drag him back, soaked and trembling. The meat lost to the abyss below. The storm has claimed its price, but the danger is not over. When the rain fades, mist coils across the plateau, blinding the band. Out of the fog, shapes emerge, not animals, but figures. Another group of Australopithecus, gaunt and watchful, their faces hardened by hunger. They carry sharpened stones and stare with eyes that weigh the worth of every stranger. The two groups stand in silence, mist curling around them, thunder still rumbling in the distance. Every muscle tightens, every hand grips its weapon. It is a standoff, a test of who will yield, who will fight, and who will bleed. Tension hangs until the cry of a predator splits the mist. A massive shadow leaps, an eagle of impossible wingspan, a terror of the sky diving for the weakest among them. Both bands erupt into motion, stones, raised voices, shrieking in primal unison. In that instant, rivals become allies, bound not by trust but by necessity. The predator crashes into the earth, wings, beating talons, tearing, but together the humans drive it back, stones striking, spears thrusting. When it flees, wounded and furious, silence falls again, except now the two groups breathe side by side, each measuring the other, not as enemy, but as mirror. The plateau has no room for endless war. Survival here is not about dominance, but fragile, fleeting unity. And so, as the mist lifts, they share a glance, an unspoken pact. For tonight, they will endure together. Night settles over the plateau like a heavy cloak, and with it comes a fragile calm. The two bands once poised to clash now sit in uneasy proximity around a newly kindled fire. Sparks leap into the thin mountain air, flickering against the stone walls of a shallow cave. Children curl against their mothers, lulled by the warmth, while hunters remain upright, hands tight on their tools. The fire is more than heat. It is a fragile truce, a symbol that even atop this isolated fortress of rock, survival demands shared endurance. Smoke drifts upward, carrying with it the scent of roasted roots and the faint crackle of meat salvaged from the day's storm. But survival is never still. In the silence of night, the plateau whispers of unseen threats. A low rumble trembles through the ground, subtle yet ominous. The Australopithecus, tense eyes darting into the darkness. From the shadows beyond the firelight, pale shapes slink forward, mountain leopards, their eyes gleaming with predatory hunger. The predators circle their bodies fluid and patient, testing the edges of human courage. The hunters rise as one shoulders squared stones clutched like talismans of defiance. Sparks burst as firebrands are snatched and waved, their orange light slashing through the black. The leopards recoil at first, snarling, but hunger drives them on. The clash is violent, primal. Claws scrape against stone teeth, flash in the fire's glow. One hunter is dragged down, screams muffled under fur and muscle, but the others descend upon the predator with a frenzy born of desperation. The air fills with the sound of bone against flesh, stone against skull, until at last the beast lies still. The others melt into the night, silent phantoms retreating into the cliffs. Dawn arrives like a breath of reprieve. The plateau glows gold under the first light, its vast emptiness stretched endlessly against the sky. The group moves carefully now, the cost of survival etched into every face. They gather herbs from crevices, bitter leaves used to staunch wounds. One female presses the crushed plants into the bleeding gash of the fallen hunter, her hands steady despite exhaustion. Another collects dew in folded leaves, droplets shimmering like jewels. Precious sips in a land where water hides more jealously than prey. Children gather stones, passing them to elders who sharpen them into tools, the rhythm of survival, beating against the silence of the heights. Yet, the plateau has no mercy for hesitation. Hunger gnaws sharper than wounds, and so the bands turn their eyes to the cliffs. High above, mountain goats scale impossible ledges, their bodies taut with strength, their hooves clinging to vertical stone. To hunt here requires more than strength. It demands balance, courage, and a willingness to gamble life for the chance of a single meal. The hunters creep toward the edge, every step deliberate, their bodies pressed low against the rock. Spears, crude but lethal, are fashioned from branches carried up from the lowlands long ago, tips hardened in fire. A silent signal passes between them. The hunt begins. One hunter inches forward, his chest pressed against the stone eyes, locked on a lone goat. The animal shifts, sensing danger, but too late. Spears arc through the air, striking with bone-cracking force. The goat stumbles, crashes, and tumbles into the rocks below. The band erupts in urgent movement, rushing to the carcass, before the scent calls predators. Blood stains the ground, steam rising in the cold morning. Hands tear at flesh, dividing, sharing, devouring with gratitude. For a moment, hunger is silenced, and unity holds. But above them, unseen vultures circle in the pale sky, their black wings whispering of hunger that never ends. The day fades into crimson light, painting the plateau in shades of blood and fire. The tribe gathers in the cave once more, their bodies weary, but sustained by the goat's flesh. Yet peace is fragile, always trembling on the edge of collapse. A sudden roar erupts from below, reverberating off the cliffs. The ground quivers as if the mountain itself stirs. Out of the ravine climbs a giant, a cave bear drawn by the scent of blood, its massive frame dwarfing even the strongest hunter. Panic surges, but the fire is rekindled with furious speed. Flames leap high as hunters thrust burning branches toward the beast. The bear charges, swiping, scattering stone and sparks. A mother pulls her child deeper into the cave, while others rally at the entrance, their weapons flashing. Spears plunge stones, rain fire, burns. The clash is a storm of roars and cries, survival balanced on a knife's edge. At last, blinded by flame and pierced by stone, the bear staggers backward, crashing into the abyss below. Silence follows, broken only by the rasp of breath. In that silence, something changes. Rival bands clasp hands not in victory, but in recognition. They have faced storm predator and hunger together and endured. Around the fire that night, they eat, heal, and even laugh, low, guttural sounds carrying into the cold air. On this isolated plateau, where the sky feels close enough to touch the lesson, is carved into memory: survival is not the triumph of one, but the endurance of many.